LaTosha Brown is the co-founder of the Black Voters Matters Fund. It's great to see you again. I want to start, if I can, where Steve just left off, because if you were able to see him, he was pointing to a large African-American population in the northeastern part of North Carolina. And the question was, can the enthusiasm of the Obama years be replicated this year? Can that help turn North Carolina blue? You've been working there. Your organization has been working there. What are you finding in North Carolina?
So the answer is yes. I think it can. I think we've seen it before. I think it's very possible we will see it again. You know, another element at play in the state of North Carolina is that there's a big gubernatorial election. There's a governor's race that's happening, and there's a very reactionary lieutenant governor who happens to be African-American, but the African-American community is very frustrated with him, that he has been able to push racist tropes himself. He has been a staunch supporter of Trump, and that has really energized and ignited Black voters in that state. What we know and what has always been our strategy is not only the centers, that while there are there's huge populations in the centers in North Carolina, in the larger urban areas, that what you find is fanned out, and just as in the community, as you raised, in the northern part of the state, you find these pockets of black voters. Oftentimes in elections, those voters are not touched or tackled because they're not in the centralized urban areas. We are literally going after those voters, and so part of what I think the idea of what we have to do now is to take that energy and turn that into mobilization all throughout the state. We will go through the state. We'll be there all throughout the next 3 months. We have 3 tours that are planned for the state. We work with over 30 partners of organizations that are embedded in the state, that are frontline communities that are doing this work. And we're all hearing the same thing, that Black voters seem that they've been energized and they've been activated. It's a matter of how we turn this activation, this momentum, into mobilization. And that's what we've been focusing on.
So let me ask you about another state where you're mobilizing, and that is where Kamala Harris, she's in a plane right now with Governor Walz on her way to Georgia. I know you've done a lot of work. I know you know this state. How important is it, first of all, do you think, that she's going to a place where Democrats almost never go, and that is to South Georgia? And how do you turn the enthusiasm we've seen over the first month of her campaign into votes on the ground with your organization?
You know, I think that Georgia is very similar to North Carolina. I think the South has something to say, that oftentimes when we talk about the South and that is deep red, well, we saw what happened with the Warnock and Jon Ossoff and being able to get 2 Democratic senators from the state. Really has been a matter of their shifting demographics. When you look at the state of North Carolina, it's not just the population is changing because people are moving there, but you also have a sizable student population throughout the state because they have a lot of educational centers there. And you have people coming of age, that you have a younger electorate, a more diverse electorate. You see that in North Carolina, but you also see that in Georgia, that you see the state of Georgia is more diverse. You see more diverse communities getting engaged, and you see a younger electorate. In addition to that, you know, what I think you can see is very reflective of what happened in 2020. In 2020, while yes, the bulk of the numbers came out for Biden in the center, the urban center in the metro Atlanta area, it was those rural areas that while those counties did not flip, that you did not see them flip from a red county to a blue county, you saw the margin of victory shrunk because people had tapped out, that in those communities, that we had tapped those communities in rural Georgia, and that's what made the difference. I think it's a very smart strategy for the vice president to campaign in those areas with a similar strategy on, yes, the urban centers will have the bulk of the numbers, but also in those rural areas, those untapped areas, you can also shave off some of the margins in those counties.
I only have a minute left, but I do want to ask you about this poll by Cornell Belcher, obviously Democratic pollster. He's been on this show a number of times. It showed 71% of Black women voters believe this is the most important election of their lifetime. What's driving that, and can you turn it into votes?
I think there's 3 things that are driving that. I think freedoms. I think when you look at freedom of women to have rights over their body, the reproductive justice fight is one. I think people are very concerned around gender equity, and we believe, particularly voters that I talk to, believe that having a woman in the White House will actually help really understand that better and do something about that. And then when you look at states like Georgia, healthcare access and care. When you look at a state that you have maternal mortality at high rates, at rates at what you see developing countries, I think all those things are driving it. And I think you're going to see a momentum that's being driven by women that will continue into the next year.
LaTosha Brown, good to see you again. Thanks so much.